We're in Psalm 16, and we're going to continue through this psalm this week. I think we'll probably finish it this week. I have really enjoyed this psalm. David is declaring his total devotion to the Lord. He is saying, amongst all my options and pursuits in life, I am putting it all, I'm banking it all on God. He is my Lord, and I'm rejecting all idolatry. Now, we've unfolded all this in the last week or so. And we left off on Friday with the lines are fallen to me, verse 6. The lines are fallen unto me in pleasant places. Yea, I have a goodly heritage. David is saying, when I relinquished all of my pursuits to receive from God his goodness, I found out that his goodness was what I really wanted more than anything else. And the lines, it's a metaphor of property lines and land and inheritance. It goes back to ancient Israel dividing up the promised land. But David's saying, what God has given to me is a pleasant heritage. It's a pleasant portion. It's a pleasant provision. And he's maintaining it. He's securing it. He will take care of me. He's my Lord. Like Psalm 23, he's my shepherd. And he's making sure I have what I need. Not only what I need, but what he gives me is pleasant, it's delightful, it's refreshing, it's joyful. And so verse 7 is where we pick it up today. I will bless the Lord. Well, I guess so. I will bless the Lord who hath given me counsel. My reins also instruct me in the night seasons. All right, a few thoughts. Let's dive in. I will bless the Lord. So that's obviously a reference to worshiping God and praising God. But here's what I want you to see. I want you to see the dual nature of the word bless. That as I worship God, that to him, on the receiving end, I'm blessing him. Now, I find that to be captivating. I find that to be very intriguing, especially when you think about earlier in the psalm when David said, my goodness extendeth not to you. It's almost as if in the first position, David's saying, I can't get to you on my own goodness. I've got nothing good to bring to you. But then later in the psalm, once he becomes the recipient of the lordship of Jesus, so to speak, once he becomes the follower, the devoted worshiper of God, we would call that in the New Testament vernacular, a Christian, okay? Once he becomes devoted to the lordship of Jesus, then he is able to return something back towards the Lord in the way of worship and thanks. And when he praises and worships and thanks God, it's a blessing to God. So just think about that today, my friend. And we could stop there. We won't. But you can bless God today. Has God blessed you? Of course he has. And I know if you look around, look at the news too much, you're going to forget God's blessings. You're going to just see the chaos. We live in this duality. We live in this permanent dual dichotomy, this tension between the brokenness of our world and the beauty of our God, the cross and the crown, okay? We live in this duality between the world that is temporarily our home and the idea that this world is not my home. I'm just passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue, the song says. I have a better future, a better heritage, a better inheritance. We're living in a fallen kingdom, anticipating a true eternal kingdom. And we kind of get, we struggle, frankly. We struggle, especially in the political arena, especially in 21st century Americanism. We struggle to live in that tension. But our deepest hope, our deepest anchors, and our anchor points need to be embedded into the eternal kingdom, the truest, ultimate preeminence of Jesus, our true Lord. So David says in the middle of all this, God's been good to me. And I know it's easy to lose sight of that today as we look at news and news cycle and the brokenness around us. But truly, my friend, God has been good to us, okay? And we need to bless him. Our hearts need to bless him. He doesn't need us to bless him, but it blesses him, okay? And that's really cool. So that's first thought, I will bless the Lord. How cool. Number two, who hath given me counsel. Now, I love how David is crediting God for the place he's arrived at. So he's saying it's God's advice, it's God's purpose, it's God's leading in my life that's brought me to this place of rejoicing. I haven't gotten here myself, okay? So God teaches me perpetually, counsels me constantly. God is directing and leading my life. And friend, he is the same God today. In this broken world, you can bless him and you can listen to him. He can counsel and advise you as your Lord. Okay? He's not just your Lord in a supremacy way. He's your Lord in an intimate, personal, guiding, leading, directional way. He will guide your steps today. I have decisions to make today and questions to answer today that I don't have answers to. And I'm sure you do too. I have friends that I know of and I'm praying for regularly that are up against big decisions and difficult situations, complex situations. And I can't pretend to know the right answers, and they admittedly don't know the right answers. So what do we need? We need the counsel of God. We need God to direct our steps every moment of the day. And we need listening hearts. We need hearts that are looking up and listening and saying, Lord, direct us, guide us today, teach us today. So I will bless the Lord who hath given me counsel, my reins. Now this is an interesting word. The reins are an Old Testament expression of your innermost being, your heart, your mind, your spirit, the thought of your emotions, your decisions, your innermost person, okay? So the inside of me, my heart, my reins also instruct me in the night seasons. Now I want you to see this. God is giving David counsel. And what is David doing? This phrase is interesting. My reins also instruct me in the night seasons. David is laying in bed at night, and his heart is processing. His mind is working through the things that God has taught him, the counsel that God has given him, the direction that God is unfolding in his life. He's meditating. He's musing. His heart is marinating in the night seasons. And this is a wonderful concept. And I'll tell you why. Let me give you an example. Last week, there was one night last week where I was watching the news until late in the evening. And it was on the Afghanistan situation and the political unfolding and all the implications. And I'm watching that news right before I tried to go to sleep. And that was a big mistake because I turned the television off and then laid down in bed. And for the next 3 hours, literally 3 hours, I tossed and turned, and my mind was churning, processing how to escape from Afghanistan. And the crazy thing is, this is not a problem I have to solve. Okay, I'm not in Afghanistan. I'm praying for people that are in Afghanistan, but I'm not powerful over any of these circumstances. Okay. Except for my vote, I'm not influential over any of it. It's not my call to be, and I'm not an expert on diplomacy or international affairs. But for 3 hours, my reins were trying to instruct me in the night season of how to get out of Afghanistan, okay, and how to solve these problems that the news had given me, okay. Now, I want you to just, since that happened to me, I've been thinking about the power of what we feed our souls and minds, and when we feed our souls and minds, and how our minds continue to process through that stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking, wow, I would have gotten a much better night's sleep if I would have let God counsel me, and then if I would have laid down and let my heart and mind instruct me in the night seasons based on the counsel of God and not based on the anxious news feed that was feeding me. So my friends, let me leave you with this. There's something valuable about the instruction of God being processed and meditated on in your mind and heart, even while you're sleeping. David said, I'm gaining knowledge and instruction. To counter the story I just told you, I could tell you many stories where I was preparing a message or working on a devotion or reading a part of scripture right before I went to bed and woke up, even in the middle of the night, but woke up even maybe in the morning with fresh thoughts or fresh applications or fresh ideas or implications of how God's teaching impacts my life or the life of those I influence. So, my friend, bless the Lord today. Listen to his counsel. And before you go to bed, decide that you'll let your heart and mind meditate on and instruct you even in the night seasons. Happy Monday. Let's have a great week together. I'll see you tomorrow.